We are going to be talking about launching Facebook ads today. And actually, we're not really going to be talking about it. We're actually going to do it. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go into a sample ad account, which is just a new one that I created for AdClass yesterday. And we're going to actually build out a campaign from scratch. So this is just where you start in the Facebook Ads Manager. So it might seem a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of things going on. I'm not going to focus too much on like the nitty gritty of how to get here. We'll have a module on that in the AdClass course, but ultimately, once you've created an ad account, this is kind of the view you'll see. It might give you some tutorials. It might tell you, a couple things on like how to actually set up the ad account. But ultimately, that's all. You can find tutorials for that online, right? If you don't know how to set up an ad account, just go online. You'll figure it out. However, once you have it set up, there's a lot to think about with how you actually create campaigns, who you target, what kind of content you put in the campaigns, how you structure the whole account. And so that's kind of what I'm going to go into today, because ultimately there's a lot to think about, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to literally go to create, and we're going to start a brand new campaign. So this is basically going to be, it's not going to let us publish yet because I just created this account, so don't worry about that yet. But they just upgraded these objectives here. So very recently, Facebook changed sort of the core way that campaigns are created. It used to be, conversions, reach, or awareness, things like that. Now there's just 6 main sort of campaign objectives. Almost always, I would recommend that you're going to be using leads or sales. Okay, so really what you're looking for is a campaign that can push for conversions. So you're looking for this little bit right here that says conversions, and it says get people to share their contact information, complete a registration form, submit an application, or take another action on your website or app. You really, really need conversions, because conversions is what the pixel basically keeps track of. And you might have heard about the Facebook pixel. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you have to have a campaign that at least allows you to put in conversion events. So either leads or sales. I start with leads because most of the marketing that we do at AdClass doesn't point directly to sale, but rather it gets people's contact info so that a salesperson can have a conversation with them. So ultimately, I'm more so interested in leads because conversions and calls are part of that. So I'm going to click continue. And it's going to go ahead and create a campaign for me. Now, first thing you're going to notice is that this panel pops up. This looks different now, right? This panel is called the edit panel. You can actually see right here. You can collapse it, and you can kind of see what was behind here. So this edit panel pops up, and this is where the majority of your editing is done in the Ads Manager. I can exit out of this, and my campaign is still here, right? And if I want to get back to that edit panel, all I need to do is click edit. I can either click it here or I can click it here. When I click edit, that pops back up. So this edit panel is kind of where everything lives in terms of all the campaign settings, right? And as you can see here, you have a campaign, you have an ad set, and you have an ad. You can see the exact same thing here: campaign, ad set, ad. I can go to my ad set from here, and it auto selects it here. I can go to my ad, auto selects it. I can do the same thing over here, right? It's just 2 ways of accomplishing the same thing, manipulating between campaign, ad set, and ad. So if you think about it, all Facebook campaigns are made up of those 3 things. You have the campaign, the ad set, and the ad. And within a campaign, you can have multiple ad sets, and you can have multiple ads within each ad set. So, theoretically, one campaign could have 3 ad sets, and then each of these 3 ad sets could have 3 ads within them, meaning we'd have 9 total ads within one ad campaign, right? So it's really just a way of categorizing and sort of organizing the ad account. It's really important that you know that, because ultimately it could be really easy to get lost in an ad account if you don't keep track of the fact that campaigns are made up of ad sets and ad sets are made up of ads, right? So I'm going to go back to my edit panel, and I'm going to get back to where I am. So first off, you're going to have a campaign name. Now, the campaign name is, some people start and they just put an arbitrary name here. I'm going to give you a little shortcut that the campaign name should really be built to scale. Anytime you do anything in your business or for another business, you should be thinking about how will this thing scale, right? That's just general business advice. Basically, if you start from a foundation where you can actually scale something, then you're not going to have headaches later on. And so that's how I kind of view campaign nomenclature as well. How do we name campaigns is actually pretty important. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself, what is the objective of this campaign? Well, we've selected leads, and I said we should select leads because conversions are a piece of that, right? Well, conversions can mean a lot of different things. I'm actually going to take a quick moment to do a sidebar here, and I'm going to show you the funnel that we're going to be pushing ads toward for this campaign. So I'm going to actually go over here to this page, which is ClickFunnels. You may or may not have heard of ClickFunnels. It's basically just a website builder. Fill in the blank. You could use Wix or WordPress or ClickFunnels or whatever other website builder you're talking about. But ultimately, we've created this quick little funnel. Caleb made it the other day, and it's got a opt-in page, right? And then after the opt-in page, once you opt in, it's going to take them to a video page, or the VSL page. If you guys have been in this group for a little bit of time, you've probably heard us talk about VSL. So that's what will go here. We don't have one created yet, but that's what will go here. Hey, say hey in the chat if you're here. What's up, Cody? Great to see you, dude. Ask away. If you guys have questions, interrupt me, pause me. I will answer any questions. This is live. I want to know what you guys are thinking, if you have questions, anything like that. So, all right, so back to the funnels. So ClickFunnels is kind of nice because it lets you see each step in the funnel. And, we'll go into funnels another day, but ultimately what you're really looking for is, how can I track what people are doing on my website or in my funnel, and how can I feed that information back to Facebook so that it can make good decisions for ads, right? Now, I showed you the opt-in page, and I showed you once you opt in other words, once you put in your email, right? Put in your email and push watch training, you're going to get added to an email list. I have your information now, and I can talk to you as a marketer, but also you're going to see that there's actually an event that I added here that happens once you opt in. So this event right here, this is something called the Facebook Pixel Helper. You guys probably want to install that if you're going to run ads. But this keeps track of what happens on my website. So I actually told the Facebook Pixel to add an event on this page called complete registration. This event does not fire on this page. As you can see, this page, there is no event, right? But when I go forward to this page, complete registration fires. So what this is saying, and what this is telling Facebook, is that when someone gets to this page, we want to categorize that as a registration completed. Once I have people completing registrations on my website, Facebook now has information that this page is associated with completing a registration. Well, what does that mean? Now we'll head back to the ad account. What it means is that when I am optimizing my ads, we'll get here in just a quick second, I can actually tell it that I want people who complete registrations. I can say, hey, all I care about in this campaign is find me people who complete a registration, right? What is completing a registration? Well, for me, it's when people, sorry, I'm losing myself. Where am I here? For me, it's when people go to this page. They can only get to this page if they give me their email, right? So that is a conversion. You can make conversions whatever you want them to be, but ultimately in this funnel, the conversion is called complete registration, and it happens on this page after somebody puts in their email. So now Facebook can find me people that are most like the people who do that, right? All right, so let's backtrack. Now that I know that completed a registration is what I'm looking for, I'm going to put that in my campaign name. And the way I do it is I say O for optimized, and then I just do something like this, O reg, which tells me that this campaign is optimized. That's what the O stands for. It's optimized toward registration. So that's a little shortcut. Now, everything that comes after this is going to be kind of up to you. You can name things however you want. But for me, I'm going to do it sort of bare bones here because I'm building this campaign out as we go. I don't have a total game plan for it yet. We can always come back and modify the campaign name. But to start with, I'm going to basically say, okay, this is optimized toward registration. This is for cold traffic. Cold traffic is what we refer to as people who are not on my email list. They're not warm. They don't know me at all, right? Cold prospects. I'm going to make an interest-based campaign, which I'll tell you about what that means here in a second. And then we'll just call this like angle 1. Okay. Angle meaning like this is going to be the ad that I'm running. So we could say angle 1 or we could say ad 1, right? So that is kind of the campaign name. Now, this is structured to scale because the rest of my account, I'm going to have all sorts of campaign names in here eventually. And maybe I modify 1 or 2 of these variables, but I'll know at least how my account is organized from the very beginning. All right, campaign objective we already chose. We're going to keep it with leads. And then the last thing that we're going to do on this page is right here. Now, this used to be called campaign budget optimization. Facebook recently changed this to advantage campaign budget. I don't know why, but basically what it's saying here is that you will set the budget for the ad campaign at the campaign level, and the ad sets and the ads within that will spend based on the budget that you set at the campaign level. So once again, campaign is here, ad set is here, ad is here. So basically I'm saying I'm going to set the budget for the whole campaign. Let's say it's $50 a day. Facebook is going to decide where that $50 goes. If I have multiple ad sets, let's say I had 3 ad sets, it can decide how to split the $50 between those 3 ad sets, right? That's what this is saying here. If I leave this off, then I'm actually going to set the budget at the ad set level. So if I had 3 ad sets, I could say, I want to spend 25 on ad set 1, 25 on ad set 2, and 25 on ad set 3 per day. However, if I turn it on, I'm only setting a campaign budget and it's allocating the budget as it sees fit within that campaign. So to follow our example, we can set this at $50 for campaign budget optimization, and it's going to reallocate all of that budget within the campaign. Sweet. These are kind of some options that I wouldn't worry about too much when you're launching. I would keep these all at default. These are things you can get into a little bit more as you learn about the ads manager. But I'm going to push next. Once I push next, it's actually going to take me to the ad set level, right? So you can see we've already set up our campaign. The campaign's here. I can exit out of this. It will save my progress, and you can see the campaign is here, right? Now the ad set hasn't been modified, and the ad has not been modified. Only the campaign has been modified. We're in the ad set. Now I'm going to open up my edit panel again. I'm just kind of going in and out of it to show you that it's not a huge deal if you leave the edit panel and you come back to the edit panel, right? All right, so here at the ad set level, I'm going to do something very similar to what I did at the campaign level, and I'm going to say reg right at the very beginning. What you're going to notice in Facebook ads is that the campaign level is really just a way of organizing ad sets and ads. There's not a lot of options at the campaign level. When you get to the ad set level, you're going to start seeing a lot more options, right? So this is the ad set level is actually where you're going to do a couple things. Number 1, you're going to pick what your ad objective is, which they call a conversion event. We already did that here with completed registration, but that's step number 1. You're basically telling it what kind of conversions am I looking for. Number 2, at the ad set level, you're going to also choose who you're targeting, right? So the audience for your ad, which is extremely important, obviously, who your ad is being shown to. And then number 3, you're going to choose the placements, which is basically where the ad shows: Facebook, Instagram, stories, feeds, all of that good stuff, which you can actually see if you go to manual placements. You can see all of the different placements that an ad can show up in on the Facebook business suite. So starting at the top, let's just run our way through. First things first, I'm going to leave the ad set name open because I'm going to fill in some stuff later and come back up and make this accurate. So don't worry about the ad set name quite yet. First things first, we are basically going to be looking for website leads. We already said a lead in my funnel, as we've already discussed, is the Pixel event completed registration. So I'm going to come back up here, and here you can see you have to first pick where you want to generate leads. So there are a lot of options here. There are forms. You may have seen people use forms before on Facebook ads. You maybe have seen people send straight to Messenger as well. There's Instagram lead forms. There are actual calls where someone can get a phone number and actually call your business. And then there are app installs as well. Well, all of these things are a little bit beside the point of what we want to teach today. We really just want to focus on getting leads through your website, which is what we call a funnel. So website here is what I'm going to select. And then down here, you're going to see the pixel. Before you're in the ad account, you really want to go to Events Manager, which I have pulled up here. But if you don't know how to get there, you're going to go to All Tools and Events Manager. I always like to open this in a new tab so I don't lose my space here. And you're going to look in here to Events Manager. Now, Events Manager is where you're going to create your pixel. I've already created a pixel just a minute ago. All you have to do is push create and then do a new pixel. And then once you have this pixel, you're actually going to be able to see the events that you have. Well, you can see I have page view and completed registration set up. This is basically, all good to go. We have one registration. It's me, and I just did it 29 minutes ago. So that's pulled through. We have a pixel attached, right? I'll have another training in the AdClass course itself on how to set all this up. But ultimately, once you have the pixel set up, you're going to come back into the ads manager, and this is where you're going to decide which pixel you want to send traffic to, basically which pixel you want to use to track your conversions. Then you have to pick a conversion event. Well, we already have completed registration set up. When I put this completed registration event in here, Facebook is basically saying, okay, I'm going to find as many people in the audience that you select who are likely to complete a registration. Now, this part is super important because basically there's a huge difference in quality of traffic based on what conversion events you select. If you just tell Facebook you want ad clicks, for example, it will find a ton of people who are willing to click on an ad. You're going to have great click-through rates. You're going to have low costs, but they're not going to be people who will actually convert on your ad down the line. So you really, really want to find people who are likely to do the action that you care about. In our funnel, we're deciding that the action we care about is going to the landing page and opting in to watch the training. So this action of typing in their email right here and pushing watch training is important to us. Therefore, we put an event here for complete registration, and we tell Facebook we want more people who do this action. That sounds interesting to most people when they hear that, because they're like, well, okay, how does Facebook know? You have to understand Facebook has all of the data. Like they know what people do, right? So we really, really need to trust that when we put this in here, Facebook is going to find the people who are most likely to do this event. And it does work. After spending $30-some million on Facebook ads, I'll tell you that this conversion event is supremely important to the success of your ads. So that's where we start. Now we scroll down here. This setting right here is a whole nother tangent for probably another day. However, dynamic creative is a really good way of testing a lot of images, headlines, copy, things like that. I'm not going to use it today, but I'll show you kind of what it will do once I set up the ads. This pertains to the ad level. You set it at the ad set level, but it pertains to the ad level. All right, I'm going to scroll down here. We're going to get to the budget and the schedule. This doesn't matter at all because I'm doing campaign budget optimization. So I'm just going to skip this. And here we are. We're at the fun part, the audience. Okay. So a couple different things at the audience level. I already put in my campaign name that I'm going to target interests. Interests are what Facebook calls detailed targeting. You can add demographics, interests, or behaviors. I call it interests just to kind of lump them all together in one. Interests are basically pre-made audiences on Facebook based on what it thinks people are interested in. You may or may not have been following the drama in the last 4 years on Facebook ads, specifically as it pertains to the 2016 election, when there were a ton of different targetable interests that kind of gotten taken advantage of. Since then, interests have definitely been modified and been made a lot more vague. So you can no longer target quite as specifically as you could at one point, but they still do work. So for me, I'm going to go through these interests here in just a second and pick some that might be good for the AdClass offer. But this is going to be something that you're going to want to do a lot of audience research on to kind of decide what interests you want to target. Interests are a really good place to start if you don't have audience data already. So, ultimately, a lot of people may or may not have like lists or, other resources that you can actually run into like upload into Facebook and make lookalikes from. So if you don't have that, this is a great place to start. You don't really need it. So ultimately, Where you would put those, though, is here in the custom audiences, and I'll actually show you what that panel looks like really quick. So if you come over here to audiences and you open this up, this is where you can create custom audiences. So as an example, when you create a custom audience, I can actually basically say like, hey, I want people who like my Facebook page, right? So I can come over here and I can say AdClass. I want people who like the Facebook page or engage with the Facebook page or any of these things, right? So I can say people who currently like or follow my page, and then I can name it here, AdClass page likes, and I can create this audience. Now, once I have this audience, I can actually create a lookalike audience based on this audience. So let's try it out just to see what it looks like. It's probably not big enough, but we can say we want this to be other sources, AdClass page likes, come here and we go United States. And now we can create a lookalike. It might not work because it's fresh, but yeah, there it goes. All right, so what is a lookalike audience? We'll cover that another time, but just for the sake of brevity, this is going to find me 1% of the US population who is most like the people who like AdClass, the page. So that could be a really good audience because it's going to be 2.4 million people or more. And they're going to be most similar to my fans already. So this is the audience manager, lots that you can learn in here. But for the sake of brevity, we're going to head back into the ad account. So let's just say though, for example, let's say I didn't want people who like my page to see my ad. Let's say I didn't want to waste money showing my ad to people who are already AdClass fans. What I could do is I could click exclude and I could say, please exclude people who already like AdClass from this ad, right? And I can put that right here. Other use cases for who you might want to exclude are people who have already bought your product or bought your program. You could also exclude people who have already become leads, as an example, right? So since I'm using completed registration as an event, and I'm just going to, somebody stop me if anything's too confusing, but I'm just going to keep rolling. Since I'm already using completed registration, check this out. I can go to my audience panel and I can say, I actually want to create a custom audience. Let's see. Custom audience from my website. And I want everybody who has completed a registration already on my website. So I showed you what that means. It means they've gotten to this page after putting in their email, right? They've gotten this tag of completed registration. So if I do this, I can say for how long? Well, I want everybody who's become a lead in the last 180 days to be inside of this audience. And then I'm just going to name it leads last 180. And I'm going to create the audience. Now there's only one person, it's me, but eventually as there are more leads, it's going to populate this audience with people that opt in, right? With that completed registration event. So in my events manager or in my ads manager, I don't want to waste ad spend on people who have already opted in. So I'm going to say, can we also exclude the leads that have opted in the last 180 days from this ad set, right? Great. Now I'm coming down here. These are the more easy options. Like we have, location of United States, age. Let's just say I think people for my offer, they should be between the age of 20 and 35. For genders, I'm going to keep all genders on. And then here is where we get to the fun part of interest targeting. Well, let's say I want people who have an interest in entrepreneurship. You can kind of start to type in your interest, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of interests pop up. As you're hovering over these, you can see over here, it actually says the size of the audience as well. So entrepreneurship, business, and finance is 382 to 449 million people large. So that's a pretty large one, right? Down here, creative entrepreneurship is only 8 to 9 million. Female entrepreneurship, 12 to 14 million. And you can start to see how we could have a lot of fun with the targeting of these ads. As an example, let's just say that we chose young entrepreneurs, the website. I could actually change my ad copy to be more potent and stronger for young entrepreneurs. I could make the hook something like, Why does everyone count out young entrepreneurs? Question mark. Right? That would really work for this specific audience. And so you start to get an idea for the fun that you can have at the targeting level. Well, let's just keep it pretty simple. Let's just do entrepreneurship, business, and finance. Now, because this is such a large interest, I really don't want to add anything else here. 382 million people is huge. If anything, I would want to trim it down from here. And you could do that. You could say define further. You can say they need to be in the entrepreneurship audience, but also I want them to have an interest in ads, right? They have to be in both. Now it's going to be like a Venn diagram, 2 circles, and the interlapping part of the circle is going to be the people that I'm targeting. They have to have an interest in entrepreneurship and in ads, right? Now that's kind of advanced. I'm not going to do that quite yet, but that is something that you could do. Languages, well, we speak English at AdClass, so we're just going to put that here just to trim it down a bit further. And that's it. That's my first audience. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I know all of this information at a glance. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put it all in the ad set name, but I'm going to do it in a way that's pretty succinct. So first off, 20 to 35, all genders. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say male, female, 20 to 35. Now I know at a glance when I'm looking at this ad set, that's who I'm targeting. Because when I have 100 ad sets in this account, I want to know quickly what's working and what's not. Coming down here, I'm going to look at the interest, and it's entrepreneurship, business, and finance. So I'm going to say entrepreneurship. I'm just going to keep it like that. And that's it. Now I know it's optimized toward registrations. I know the audience. If this was an offer where I had worldwide, I might do like USA. Male, female, 20 to 35, and then entrepreneurship. Boom. Now we have our first ad set. I see you guys tracking with me still. We're through this detailed targeting piece. Any questions on detailed targeting at all while I'm running through to the next thing, please put them in the chat if you do. The next piece of the ad set level, like I said before, is that we actually have to choose our placements. I would almost always recommend automatic placements, which they now call Advantage Plus placements, which is basically going to let Facebook choose where to place your ads. The reason why I recommend this is not because all placements are good, but because when you choose this, Facebook uses AI to basically put your creative in front of people at the right place and the right time. And choosing Advantage Plus placements gives us a lot of options for where your ad can be seen, and it can catch people in a lot of ways that they're more likely to convert. So I like to keep this on. It also discounts your cost to advertise quite a bit, your CPMs. So that's another reason why I do like Advantage Plus placements. But, ultimately, if you didn't want to do Advantage Plus placements, you can choose manual placements as well. Let's just say you don't like Instagram, you don't like Messenger, you don't like Audience Network. Well, here you can choose just Facebook, and you can say, well, I want it to be on Facebook feed, not Marketplace, not in the video feed, not in the right column, not in the group feed, not in the Business Explorer, just Facebook feed, right? Let's say, you want it also on Facebook Stories, and you wanted no to that, no to that, no to that, right? Well, now, yes, it will only show on Facebook feed, but there are fewer users that only use the Facebook feed than all of these other things. So your reach will also be much smaller, based on that. So I prefer, just while I'm launching and figuring an offer out, to do Advantage Plus placements at the beginning, see if it works, and I can always modify these placements as I go. All right, you're going to also see over here, don't get freaked out by this right panel where it says unavailable. This typically doesn't mean anything. I would pretty much ignore this, especially if your audience is large, which in this case, it's 382 plus million people. So we know it's a big enough audience. Great. When you come down here, you can also do block lists. You can decide, if you don't want certain people to see your ads, you can add that in here. You can basically exclude live videos from, your placements as well, things like that. And then down here, this is pretty advanced. I would just keep this on conversions for right now, which is basically going to just get as many conversions as it can at the cost that you give it. Great. Attribution settings also a bit advanced. Basically, it's saying count a conversion if the conversion happens 7 days after clicking an ad or 1 day after viewing an ad. So that is that. That's the ad set level. We're going to pop through into the ad level here. And this is where the fun starts. We're going to actually make our ad. So here, I'm going to also do oreg in my ad name, and I'm just going to say ad one, okay, for the sake of brevity here. Matches my campaign name for the ad, and I know that this is the first ad that I'm making. So we're going to advertise to the AdClass page and the AdClass Instagram page. I'm going to turn on my ad preview over here, and once I add some media, you'll actually be able to see it. And I'm going to actually go down here and create the ad. So a couple of things. This is an interesting piece here. A lot of people like to use existing posts from their page and, almost like boosting an ad. I would almost never recommend doing this, right? We have this video here. I could like choose this existing reel that I have, and I could put this here, and this reel is actually going to get served to everybody in the audience that I chose here. If you were going to ever boost a post, I would do it through the ads manager like this, but the problem with this is that I have no call to action in this ad. This ad was just, it's purely a fun reel that I created, right? So it's not really set up for conversions. It wasn't made with that in mind. So I would much prefer to create a fresh ad, that's actually optimized toward an action that I want people to take. So we push create ad, we say manual upload, and we can choose kind of the type of ad here. Single image or video is probably the best place to start, because we're actually going to start to actually see how images in videos, resonate with our audience that we created. But there are other options you can do, like carousels, which are 2 or more images that you can scroll through. And then there's collections, which is more common for e-commerce. But we'll stick with single image or video to start. And I'll keep that checked for now, but that's something we could discuss later. All right, cool. So here's where you actually pick your medium. So I have actually a video that Caleb made that I'll throw in here. We're going to have to upload it. So he made this for YouTube, but we'll repurpose it and use it here for Facebook. And I'll show you kind of what the upload process looks like. So this gets uploaded fairly quickly. Once it's uploaded, you push next. It's actually going to show you how this will show up in your placements. Now, because we selected automatic placements or Advantage Plus placements, I have, a few different places that this video could show up. So if I wanted to, I could crop these. So as an example, stories and reels. You guys know stories are like vertical, they're up and down. So this video, if I wanted to, would show up basically like this in stories and reels, which I don't think is really ideal. So I could actually crop it if I wanted to, right? And I could choose how I want this to show up. If I wanted to, make it like this for this placement and scroll through, it might actually work, right? Might be a little bit blurry, but at least it shows up full screen for people, right? And so this is kind of how you can crop things for different placements. For feeds, in-stream, and video, I think it's pretty good, but Facebook recommends doing 1 by 1. So we could crop that as well, confirm. And then for the right column, it actually recommends the format that we already have it in. So we'll keep it in the recommended format. So I'll click next here. And there's also like enhancements that Facebook can make. I don't love the enhancements, but it's something that you can definitely test at some point. But ultimately here you can kind of see the different types of, enhancements it might make. But I'm going to keep that off for now. I want my creative to be how I made it. Perfect. It's just uploading these and cropping them as I did just change quite a bit on those videos. Again, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat here. We're building out our very first ad campaign here. All right, cool. So while that's uploading, there's a couple other things I can do. So I can come down here. The primary text is what we call ad copy. And you can see, primary text is what actually shows up above the ad on Facebook. So, when you're scrolling through Facebook, the primary text is kind of the main thing that catches your eye. It's just above the video. Now on Instagram, it's actually the first thing below the video. So if I just do, this is my test copy, you're going to see it actually comes down here like an Instagram, description. On Facebook, it comes above. And then you can kind of see where this would show up in different formats. If it even would show up in certain formats, it won't show up, right? So this is the ad copy. Now for the ad copy, I don't have anything created right now. So, I'm just going to make something super simple. Tired of wasting money paying an advertising agency to run your offer. You're going to want to hear this. For the sake of time, that's all I'm going to do here. I don't have any specific ad copy. Now you can see that there's only going to be 2 lines that actually show up above the fold. They used to be 3, but I still think even if I type an O there, yeah, you can start to see the 3rd line. So it's a stylistic decision on how you want to space this. Like if I do no space there, then you can actually see all 3 lines above the fold here. The fold is what I call that see more button. So test, test, test. As that happens, you're going to actually see a see more button pop up, and where people have to actually click that to read the rest of your copy. So whatever you put above the fold is incredibly important because it's the only thing that people are going to actually see if they don't click read more, right? So super important that you know that. As you kind of type out this ad copy, we'll have a whole nother module on copywriting, but basically copywriting, this is the main advantage of Facebook. Because think about running a YouTube ad. YouTube ads, they don't get this. They don't get this text right here. This text right here is actually one of the main things that stops the scroll on Facebook. You can modify this text in a million different ways. Speaking of which, you can actually add up to 5 options here of text that Facebook will decide how to serve. So let's say I want to just split test this really quickly. I can actually say, instead of tired here, maybe I want to say sick of wasting money, right? Now I have 2 options that Facebook can run here. And it's going to actually end up choosing the one long-term that converts better based on the conversion objection that I gave it, which is, or objective that I gave it, which is registrations. So that's really cool. Now the headline on Facebook ads is actually going to be down here. The headline is actually next to the call to action. So click here, or actually I'm going to say watch the free training. Now, this is a separate side note on what your call to action should be, but basically the reason why I did that is because here I have watch training as my call to action on the landing page, and I want it to be so cohesive and congruent with my ad. I want people to know that when they click on watch the free training, they're going to get to a page where they can click watch the free training so they don't get confused, and it's very clear. All right, so that's my headline. I can also give it more headline options. I could say, watch the free, let's say, case study as an example. Give it another option there. And then the description is actually what shows up below the free training. From Caleb Cruz, founder of AdClass. Something like that. Great. So there is my copy, my headline, my description, right? These things matter a lot. I'm not going into how to create copy and headlines and descriptions today. We just don't have enough time. I'm just going into how do we format the ad account, and we still have a little bit to do there. So we have the video.
Look, it is no secret that ads can make people a lot of money.
Cool. You can see the ad creative shows up. It looks good. Everything is kind of, cropped and ready to go. We have the story placements even. Looks really good, actually. It cropped nicely. The quality looks a lot better than we thought it would. So that's awesome. All right, so we have this kind of shell of a campaign created. The only other thing is we're not sending them anywhere yet. We have to put in a URL. So I'm going to hop over to here. I'm going to grab my opt-in URL. I'm going to come back. I'm going to paste it here. All right. I can always preview it here to make sure it works. Great. It works. Fantastic. So that's my URL. I can also tell it here what pixel I want to use, how I want it to be tracked. We're good there. And then here's your URL parameters, which we'll talk about another time. If you have questions on that, hit us up in the group. This is kind of how you feed information back to your CRM and tell it which ads your leads came from. However, we're pretty much set and ready to go. One thing I would say, if I was running this myself, is that I would want captions added to this video because a lot of people are starting to watch things on mute. And so there's a couple ways to do that. Eventually we'll get into that, but you can actually add captions in the creative panel here. I gotta actually find where that is. They change everything so often. believe it's when you actually upload the video. Yeah, okay, so captions here, you can actually generate them automatically, or you can upload your own captions. So I'm actually seeing better results with auto-generated captions, and you can come through here and actually modify line by line. So if something's messed up, you can modify it here.
Look, it is no secret that ads can make people a lot of money.
So, I'm going to not take time to do this right now, but basically you can modify this to make sure it actually matches your video and then push save. And Facebook is actually going to discount your ad costs quite a bit when you do captions like this, because it's using their proprietary technology to run captions, which is always a good idea. So that is creating an ad. We have our ad. Our ad is within our ad set. Now, one thing I want to show you here before I push publish, I'm not going to push publish yet because I'm not done with my campaign, but I want to just show you how the campaign looks overall. So we have our campaign here, cold interest, ad one. We click in, we get to the ad set level. We have our targeting. We're targeting for registration, USA, male, female, 20 to 35. The interest we're targeting is entrepreneurship. Within this, we have one ad that we just created together. But what if I want more than one interest inside of this campaign? Apologies for the dogs. I have to actually duplicate this out and put more than one ad set within the campaign, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to make 2 copies. I like to start with 3 ad sets inside of my campaign. Takes me back to the panel here. This is our existing one. This is the first one we made. Now I have this one that's a copy, and I have this one that's a copy. These 2 copies are actually copied the ad set and the ad. So as you can see, if I click on the ad inside of here, it's the exact same thing we just made, which is why I created the ad first before duplicating anything. Because whatever I duplicate is going to carry over all the changes. And I don't want to waste my time making an ad 3 times when I could make it once and then duplicate it. So the only thing I need to change now is my targeting, because basically I have one campaign now that has 3 ad sets, but they're all targeting the same thing. That's not good. We want to change that. And then within these 3 ad sets, each one of them has an ad, right? So I'm going to come back here to the ad set level, and I'm going to actually modify these. So I'm going to delete this part because I know I'm going to choose a different target. I'm going to come down here to where I did the entrepreneurship target. I'm going to remove it, and this is where I would type in another one. So here I'm going to just say Facebook ads, see if that pops up. All right, that doesn't pop up. So let's say digital advertising. No, how about digital marketing? There we go, digital marketing. Boom, 149 million people. There, I have my second ad set. I'm going to come back up here, digital marketing. Now I have digital marketing, and inside of digital marketing, that targeting audience, I'm going to have the exact same ad that I have in my other one. Now I'm going to go back to my other copy, the ad set level. I'm going to delete this, and we're going to find one more thing to target. What's nice about Facebook is they can actually give you some suggestions too when you click suggestions, and a lot of times this will give you a lot of ideas on what you can target. So digital marketing is actually in here. Social media marketing is in here. Online advertising is in here as well. Advertising marketing. So let's just say online marketing. Delete this. So we have online advertising marketing. And now that's my third one. I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to fill in that title. There you go. Now we have one campaign. I know that they're interest-based targeting in here because I told myself that that's what I would make in this campaign. And I know that it's ad number 1, the first ad that we created. I could always make this more specific now. Instead of just ad 1, let's say Caleb video, right? And then at my ad set level, we have the targeting all set up. We're optimized for complete registration in all 3 of these. And then within each one of these, we have ad 1. Well, I can actually modify things a little bit faster. So campaign level, again, ad set level, ad level. I can actually select all of these ads at once, and I can edit them all at once as well. So, if there was something that I wanted to change across the board, I could do that here. there's also another way that I can do this. I can actually go in here and I can say edit name. So I changed the name at the campaign level to Caleb Video 1. So now where it says ad 1, it's not really accurate. I want it to be Caleb Video 1. Great. That changes my ad names. Save to draft. Boom. Caleb Video 1. And there you have it. We have one campaign created at a budget of $50 a day. And because we chose campaign budget optimization, it's going to allocate this $50 every single day to be spent between these 3 ad sets: entrepreneurship, online advertising, and digital marketing. And then within these ad sets, it's going to actually allocate the budget to spend on these ads. So that's it. We've created our very first set of ads.